What's good, everybody, and welcome to Body Bag Podcast. I'm Chris Thomas, and with me, as always, Broke Writer Dave.
How we doing, everybody?
Joining us today, we are not alone. He is the author of Virgin Night and My Zombie Sweetheart, as well as Cotton Candy Massacre, which will be a prize in our upcoming giveaway. He might not be Deadpool, but he has been called the Ryan Reynolds of indie horror. Thank you for coming on Body Bag Podcast, Christopher Robertson.
Thanks for having me. That was someone taking the piss out of me, making fun of me. Oh crap! I swore in like the first 2 seconds.
Oh no, it's fine. You can
curse all you want. Yeah.
You can cuss all you want. It's fine. Which is funny. You're not the first person we've had on the show to ask, "Is it okay to cuss?" or anything like that. It's like the first question that they all ask.
Yeah.
Is there not usually like a no, not in the first 30 seconds rule for some place?
We're not
on YouTube, so
we're not on YouTube or anything like that. So this is on Apple, Spotify, all the streaming ones like that. So yeah, you don't have to worry. You can cuss.
Yeah, we mark all episodes have been cursing in it, so we're good.
You said that was somebody joking.
Yeah, it was I don't know. It was an Ask Me Anything I did at one point, and as someone some good friend of mine, I did a answer question, how come you're so cute? And I put a Ryan Reynolds meme back saying you're cute. And he's like, of course you would be the Ryan Reynolds of indie horror. So I've not let him forget it since then.
And I got the other, because I have the little blurb right here, has been called the Ryan Reynolds of indie horror and some Scottish Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, that was also someone else taking the piss. But you can't take the piss out of me. I'll just put it on a t-shirt.
I like that. People like Ryan Reynolds. I didn't know what to make. I don't know what that would mean though. Ryan Reynolds of indie. All right, of indie horror.
I think someone else said it's because you're very annoying but oddly likable.
So before you hopped on, me and Dave were actually admiring some of the titles and I was admiring some of the artwork of your some of your books over here, specifically My Zombie Sweetheart, which to me, I kept telling Dave, this just sounds like an awesome name for a garage metal band. My Zombie Sweetheart.
Yeah.
But Dave actually has a couple of questions for you because he's read a couple of your books. So I'm going to throw it to Dave real quick.
Yeah, so I just kind of want to get this started and play a little game of 3 words or less. So I'm going to throw out the title of one of your books and you have to try to describe it in like 3 words or less.
Okay, so it's got to be fun.
All right. The October Society.
90s spooky kids.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Chris's favorite, My Zombie Sweetheart.
Yeah.
Wholesome, gruesome kitsch.
Okay.
Okay.
Cotton Candy Massacre.
I want to say something that's only relevant to the book, but tasty, tasty bananas.
Tasty, but if that
comes up.
I need to read this book now.
That's the review blurb. Tasty bananas. So says Christopher Robertson about Cotton Candy Massacre.
All right. Lazer Lizards.
And that's 4 words. Ready Player One.
All right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Virgin Night.
Kids aren't all right.
That's very true. I like that.
All right, so Dave, you were telling me earlier were the ones that you read.
So far, I read Virgin Night, and then I read Lazer Lizards and Brotherly Love, which is in the Sacrament anthology, edited by a friend of the show, Jamie Stewart.
Oh, that was actually Jamie that said the Ryan Reynolds line.
Oh, for real?
It?
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have to talk to him about that when next time we have him on.
Yeah, he's been on here a bunch, so yeah.
We're making our way through the Simon Pegg Nick Frost trilogy of Edgar Wright movies. We just got one more down, one more to go.
Yeah.
But I think there's one other book I don't think that we've mentioned, and that's if you read Cotton Candy Massacre and you want more, there's also Goons in Grease Paint, a short story prequel to the Cotton Candy Massacre.
Yeah, that was just like a 5,000 word short story I put out about a month before Cotton Candy Massacre came out. As a little taster and like a little promo piece for it.
Yeah. I got the little blurb right here. It was all fun and games till Monroe and Bailey thought they could rip off notorious carny crime Lord Bonko the Clown. That's the intro sentence in I'm already invested. Just by carny crime Lord Bonko the Clown sold me right then and there. They're about to find out what happens when you clown around with the devil himself and that's the tootin' truth. I love that.
Yeah.
It just sounds ridiculous. Like
I'm not one
fun.
for subtlety.
There's no subtext in this. This is a killer. This is a killer crime boss named Bonko.
There's an underlying like message to the Cotton Candy Massacre that's kind of there, but for the most part, it's just fun and gory fun.
Yeah, I've noticed that's where your books are. They're really fun.
Yeah, for me, being fun and entertaining is like the first priority.
Yeah,
And if I manage to make a point along the way, then I call it a win.
there you go.
Like that happens more
Yeah.
by accident than intention.
So what's fun for you? What gets your creative juices flowing that will spark, life into stuff like that these wild titles and wild premises?
I think I'm a huge horror movie nerd, and I kind of have this idea where I want to write a book that's like every kind of horror movie I've ever liked or wanted to like or wish there was.
Okay.
Okay.
So I wish there was more crazy clown movies like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So I wanted to write one on my own. I wish there
Yeah.
was like a 1950s B movie with Romero-esque zombies.
It's like a
Yeah.
movie nerd's handbook of
Yeah.
like a review of just thoughts that movie nerds would have, like stuff that we all probably just kind of
Yeah.
like think to ourselves, what? That's the title. What would be cool? And then
Yeah.
just this premise.
Yeah, like they never let me be on Are You Afraid of the Dark as a kid, even though I sent in my audition papers and everything. So I wrote the October Society.
Oh, that would have been an awesome experience to be part of the Midnight Society. So you made the
Yeah,
October
I'm-
Society.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like half a country. I'm half the world away and everything like that. It was a pipe dream as a kid, but yeah.
I mean, I think every
Yeah.
horror fan like started up. Well, I was a
I
kid.
think horror fans our age all kind of started with "Are You Afraid of the Dark?"
Yeah, I was like not even in my teens when that came out. So yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I want to say like 5 or 6 when it came out
So-
on Nick. Yeah.
It was a little more harder to get hold of it in Scotland because you had to have satellite TV, which was like cable.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
was only something like the rich kids could have, and I wasn't
Yeah.
a rich kid.
Mm.
So there was a rich kid in our school though, and he would sell us like bootlegs of him VHS tapes of stuff he taped off Nickelodeon.
Oh, so your
Like,
school
he had
had
a
a
real
boot-
good business model going.
yeah, a black market of Nickelodeon videos.
He would basically just leave the tape going for the night and then sell it the next day. So you would get like a mix of whatever he taped. If you wanted specific things that cost extra.
He was probably making bank off that, man.
But so you say you're a horror movie nerd. So you'd say like horror movies in general get the creative juices flowing.
Yeah, or just the completely random thoughts, or even a dare, or even the desire to wind someone up. Like when I first met my partner, I kind of tormented her with the idea that I was going to write a killer clown book just to scare her. She hates clowns. She's terrified of clowns,
Yeah.
and she thought I was joking. And then I went and wrote the Cotton Candy Massacre.
No,
That's,
I am deadly serious.
Yeah.
So it was dedicated to her at the start. It's like,
She a good sport about it.
yeah. I mean, she dressed up as a clown to promote the book when it came out and everything. She's oddly compelled by the clown world. That she likes listening to the ideas for it, and she is very engaged and involved with the book. But she just doesn't want to see the pictures of the clown, the artwork, or whenever the real Sully the clown pops up. She's like, oh, she's nice, but you talk to her.
The more I'm learning about Chris here, the more his pick of popcorn makes a little bit more sense of him picking that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie is pure me. That's so cheesy, so bad, and so much fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll get to it. But I wholeheartedly agree. I had to watch it a second time because I had seen it a couple of months ago, and it was going to make it into my pick for this season of bad movies. But luckily, you picked it for me, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I get to do it anyway. All right, Dave, you got some more questions over there?
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed with like your books, you like to put out like photos of like all the characters. And I think that's something that I wish more authors would do. So like what's the process behind doing that or the inspiration of that?
I think I'm a very visual person. If I had to say, it goes back to when video games used to have manuals and stuff, and you'd sit on like the train home or something, reading up on like how to reuse special moves and stuff. Like I loved all the supplementary materials.
Yeah.
You're bringing me
same
back.
here,
You're bringing me back.
Yeah.
So-
Like an old memories.
Yeah, so some artwork has been done, like so the October Society, like the additional artwork and the character artwork was done by the artist who did the cover for the Cotton Candy Massacre. That's Matt Taylor.
Okay.
He's on
Okay.
Instagram as the Shrimp Shack Slasher. He's really cool. Does these really cool portraits.
Okay. Well,
All right.
reach out to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, his horror art's so cool. He's got this really distinctive style, and he's such a you can see the love for horror. So I reached out to him
Yeah.
right away and said, "Would you be interested in doing this book cover? I've got this idea, and you really nail the retro horror aesthetics I wanted for the cover."
Nice.
Did
Yeah,
you give
so
him complete creative freedom to do what he wanted to draw?
I wanted to have the character of Sully, the clown, on the cover of the Cotton Candy Massacre because she's a real person.
Hmm.
Who was I was a fan of her like makeup work and her character work, and I reached out to her and asked her, would it be cool if I based a character like on her clown for the book, and she was really into it. And the character ended up becoming such a big part of the story. Like originally, it was just like a side character, but then she sort of just like had a lot more story to tell, and it just unfolded that she was so more integral to the book than envisioned. Is like often
Yeah.
what happened when I start writing books. I'm like, this is the main character, and then no, they're not.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
So I wanted her on the cover, but the only sort of guidance I gave was I was a big fan of like cover art from movies like Return of the Living Dead Part 2 or Fright Night.
I love those
Oh, yeah.
old movie posters.
Yeah.
You've got the menacing thing above what's going and the location down below.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much it. And yeah, he's done it there. He did a really good portrait of Sully, and sort of marked the really good color choices and layout and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the cover art for some of these things, and they do have like an old kind of feel in the good way, like a retro, I guess would be the word to use, horror.
Kind of unlocks those nostalgic memories.
Yeah,
I'm pretty much everything I write is weaponized nostalgia.
Yeah.
I don't think I think the
love that
furthest
line.
I planned on writing a story is like early 2000s sci-fi cheesiness is like as far as I think I'll go until I get really old maybe, and then 2020s become retro.
Yeah.
I am going to use that term to describe movies from now. Weaponized nostalgia.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that to describe movies from now on.
I mean, it works because when I was reading Lazer Lizards, it kind of unlocked like a nostalgic memory of watching Starship Troopers with my dad when I was younger. And I haven't thought of that movie for years. So I was wondering if that movie was kind of like the inspiration for this book.
There was like a lot of inspirations for that one. Like one of the weirdest ones, it's like a deep cut, is the really bad 90s Double Dragon movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Because that's so cheesy, that's so ridiculous, and it's just
Yeah.
I loved how like late 80s, early 90s apocalyptic science fiction just depicted the early 2000s as nuclear wastelands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there could be no other option for humanity. We are going to blow ourselves up.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Skynet was going to launch, and we were going to be fighting Terminators, and there was going to be rubble everywhere, and everyone would have like really cool hair.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's the future is significantly more boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Skynet's just Alexa, and
Well, Skynet's actually
getting all right.
happening.
Yeah.
Let's
It's on
be
its
res-
way.
It's
Yeah.
on its way. We all know this though.
And I, for
Skynet,
one, welcome our robot overlords.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But Laser Lizard, it was short, but it was such a fun thing to read. And I noticed one of the characters, Silver, kind of fed back and seemed like she was from the town from Virgin Night.
Yeah,
Maybe
So
related to one of the characters, Jade.
So everything in all my main books are interconnected.
Okay.
So it all takes place in like a shared cinematic universe.
Oh,
Laser
that's
Lizards
awesome.
is where I decided I was going to get really meta with it, and Laser Lizards is an alternative universe.
Okay.
So Laser Lizards exists within the mainline universe as a cartoon and video game.
All right.
So if you've read Virgin Night, Silver is actually Caitlin.
Is it Caitlin? Okay.
Yeah, but what if she wasn't evil? Like,
Yeah.
if something happened to put her on a better path in life, and that raw determination and that I'm gonna succeed no matter what attitude, I love that was actually applied in a positive way.
Yeah, now I see it. Like, first I thought it was Jade just due to the fact that, she was good at arcade games and you had Jade from the arcade in Virgin Night. But now that you point out, okay, yeah, I definitely see that it's Caitlin.
Here's a quick question, if I may. Unless I'm derailing.
No, you're good.
Him being a self-proclaimed movie nerd, I think that you had asked a question like this on our previous one, Dave. But who could you see if one of your books or projects made it to Hollywood? Who could you see directing, or who would you want to see direct one of your or one of your book projects into film?
So if it was Cotton Candy, Damien Leone or Rob Zombie.
Okay.
There's a couple of reviews for Cotton Candy Massacre that basically call it a Rob Zombie movie script.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of intentional, because I wanted it to be scuzzy. Like, his movies are very scuzzy.
Yeah.
And Damien Leone is pretty big right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he would nail the gore. 'Cause Cotton Candy's over the top gore.
Yeah, I still need to watch Terrifier 2.
Which if you're
the first one was super gory.
Well, when Terrifier 2 came out, it kind of cemented the fact that Terrifier has a huge following, a growing following. Like,
yeah,
I think it made like 5 million over the course of like a week or two or something like that.
Do they have to be alive?
No, I'll say no.
Yeah,
because Zombie Sweetheart, I would love a William Castle production.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
gimmicks and all.
We know William Castle. We like William Castle here on the show.
Yeah, we reviewed a couple Castle movies so far.
Need to do some more though.
Old black and white film,
complete with the gimmicks, like
the Tingler.
Complete with looking at the audience and interacting with them.
Yeah. I don't know how you would do that with that book, but maybe there has to be a way. Yeah. I know I could release a bunch of ants in the theater.
You just leave it to William Castle; he'll figure it out.
Yeah, I would love to go to a gimmick theater show just once. I feel like that'd be so much fun.
What about October Society?
Oh, I don't know about that one. That's more of a TV show.
Okay, that'll be the direct to Netflix.
The next
Netflix series.
Yeah,
that's structured more like a TV show, so that would be.
And that was my little derailment of Dave's actual questions.
Well, like I said, I was a big fan of Virgin Night when I read it. It's probably one of the best books I've read in the past couple of years. Just because it captured what I love about horror, like that 90s slasher vibe. And it does it almost perfectly. So what were the slasher movies that kind of inspired Virgin Night?
So the obvious one is the Big Boy Scream.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the sort of conception for it was, what if Scream but with American Pie?
Okay.
There you go.
Well, we've compared it. We've kind of compared it, because it came out in '96, I think. American Pie.
Scream and American Pie both came out, around the same time.
Yeah. I remember seeing both fairly at the same time. My sister, I was too young to see them in the cinema or anything, so my sister got the VHSs and would let me sit and watch them. I can remember watching both back to back, but she'd be like such an embarrassing big sister about it. She'd be like, "Oh, I know there's naked bits in American Pie, so I'll leave you alone to watch it. And there's a sock if you want it." You'll know what to do. If you don't know what to do, the start of the film tells you. And then she would try and burst into the room when it was ever at the nudity bits, because she would expect something. I'm just sitting here sorry to disappoint you, but no.
That's pretty hilarious. But I do remember that I had to see both those films for the first time at around the same time period in my life. Because I was probably 8 or 9 when I saw both those for the first time.
But there's a bunch of movies that inspired parts of it that aren't necessarily horror, like Mallrats. Mallrats is a big inspiration in a lot of things, like the slacker nature of the characters in the start of the first half of Virgin Night is definitely that Mallrats vibe. But the relationship between the two leads of Mallrats is what I wanted for the two guys in the Cotton Candy Massacre, to the point where I sort of started off with them on the same trajectory of they've both been dumped. And instead of going to the mall to try and win their girlfriends back, they're going to this carnival they know they're going to be at, instead of dealing with an overzealous security guard and career-focused Michael Rooker. It's cannibalistic killer clowns.
We need to have all of our guests do this and put their stories in language I can understand, which is, it's like Mallrats and give me the cast. And that way I can build a picture in my mind. We need to have all of our guests do it that way.
Yeah.
Because now I'm building the story in my mind. I can see this.
Yeah, but no, I also want to go watch Mallrats, because I haven't seen that movie at least in 10 plus years.
I'm looking at the cover for Virgin Night, and for some reason, just the bloody bits of the cover makes me think of Maniac. That's the vibe I'm getting just by looking at the front of the cover.
So the cover artist for Virgin Night is the same as the October Society books, and that's my friend Derek Eubanks, and he's on Instagram as Horror Junkie, and it's the date for like the Halloween movie, but I always forget it. He's like a graphic designer, movie critic guy. He's a really talented graphic design. So he did he did October Society first, and Virgin Night he had a very like loose idea. Said let's rip off Scream, but not enough that I get in trouble.
Just enough that they can't sue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we like the sort of Scream poster they had where it was like just the entire poster was made up of the word Scream, and within every letter was a character.
I didn't notice that until upon second glance. I just thought it was a bloody title, and then I had to look close and go, oh, those are actual scenes.
Yeah.
So we did something similar to that, and that was kind of common as well for like there's quite a few 90s movies that did that, where like they like to put the characters within the word.
It's cool. It's a cool look.
But is there like a certain actual town that Cherry Lake is based on? Or what's the process of coming up with the town for Virgin Night?
It got mentioned in My Zombie Sweetheart, and I had to stick with the name, and it kind of came from there. It kind of fits with the title of the book and the theme, that sex is quite a prominent theme in the book, and I thought it just made sense. It was called Cherry Lake. It's a flip on the slasher tropes where it's like it's taking this sort of slasher trope literally, where you'd say like characters who have sex get killed. Like in Cherry Lake, it's like the literal law of the land. Like it's not even like a rumor or urban legend. It's people know for a fact that you bang on Virgin Night and someone's coming to get you.
I like that. That's pretty cool. Like horror tropes, but they're actual law. Like I think that's a cool concept.
Yeah, I didn't want to waste time with like, oh, is it really happening? Is it not really happening and stuff? Like, I just wanted to drop into it. Like, yeah, this is what they're dealing with, and because all these books take place in the same shared universe, like there's characters that go back and forth between each book, like minor characters or events that are referenced. So like the character of Walker, who gives Casey a ride to Cherry Lake at the start of the book, he's in every book. Oh. He's the cyborg Breaker in Lazer Lizards.
Okay.
He's a much younger man in Zombie Sweetheart because it's in the 1950s, and fending off zombies in a blink and you'll miss it scene. And he has a much more prominent part in the Cotton Candy Massacre books, and he's the feature character in the prologue chapter of the first book. And he might be appearing again in subsequent ones.
That's awesome that everything's connecting. Now I feel like I have to go out and read the rest of your books.
Yeah, I've got I've got a good friend who keeps track of this for me because I sometimes forget where people should be. And he's like, you do know that he couldn't be here at this point because of this.
when you're making, or when you're coming up with an idea for a story, now that you have this big shared universe, do you think first, how is this going to connect to the other stories, or is that more like on the back end? Like I want to tell the story first, and then I'll figure out how it ties into the other stuff.
It's organic and it sort of develops over time. It's definitely on the back end. Mm-hmm. So like after Zombie Sweetheart, I did one episode in the October Society is set at the same drive-in that the sort of one of the zombie attacks happened in, but like years later and dealing with the ghosts of what happened on that night. And in that story, I just kind of wrapped up what maybe happened to some characters after Zombie Sweetheart, and now that's become part of like a running lore of all my books. So like they reference a certain comic book character like that was created by one of the characters in the Zombie Sweetheart, and over time I've grown that into like a little franchise that exists within this world. So originally it's just mentioned as a comic book, and then in subsequent books like in Virgin Night there's an arcade cabinet based on the character, and then there's like a trailer for the movie in another book. So it's just little things I'll add over time. I was like, oh, that would be cool if I could do that. It helps the October Society books act as a really good bridge between the other books because they're a TV show and it's got like a fake adverts that are part of the narrative. I can link things that way and tease things that way. And very often in the October Society books, I'll pop in a mention for something that's not maybe coming out for a year or so. So the church in Cherry Lake, the church on the lake, there was an advert for that in the first October Society book before I'd even announced Virgin Night.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. I'll have to go back and read those.
Do you drop, when we had Haley on, she always makes sure to put in like Beatles references in a lot of her things. Do you put in like a lot of horror, like movie, like references that like nerds would be like, oh, that's a little nod to to George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead, or do you sprinkle those throughout any of your stories?
Yeah, quite a lot. Sometimes in dialogue, people will say things that are either movie quotes, or paraphrase quotes, or like the one that gets flagged. I've been messaged a few times is in My Zombie Sweetheart, when the science teacher is discussing brain controlling parasites, and the science teacher says that there's no way they could make jump to humans though, and the main character was asking, "Is it possible?" I went, "No, there's no way, because if they did, that would be The Last of Us."
Uh,
Yeah, I'm not subtle.
you take a minute to look at your audience in the eye and say, "You got that?"
Yeah. There's slightly more like hidden ones. Like there's a bit where a car gets run off the road in Zombie Sweetheart, and they look at the driver and say that maniac's going to ram us is lifted from the Resident Evil 2 introduction cutscene where Leon and Claire are in the car. The truck just flips them up at the start.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
it could be many other things, but in specifically that one for me. And my chapter titles are often referencing other movies or referencing things. Like in Cotton Candy Massacre, there's a chapter title called "The House of a Thousand Giggles."
I love
sorry.
sticking with the clown, sticking just with the clown theme, even into the title.
In Virgin Night, you put a lot of work into like the tree face lore and everything that went into that. So what was your process of coming up with this character?
I make things up as I go along and then hope they make sense. And then there's a lot of pruning at the end. Virgin Night had a way more out there ending originally, until like one of my beta readers was like reading it, and she was like with the book up to that point. It's like, no, this is too far, because it got like all really super cosmic.
Kind of want to know what this alternate ending is now.
Yeah, the story remained the same, but there was like more of an explanation for the evil behind Treeface and what was going on.
Okay.
So I didn't actually remove it as so much as I just scaled it back to what's only there as a little hint, because I had another beta reader that didn't want me to take it out. So, and I was like, I agreed with both, because I did feel like I was putting too much, because it was like a genre flip too close to the end. And I wanted to keep it within the slasher realm, but acknowledge that there's more going on than just the slasher stuff.
So when you're in the process of coming up with characters for your books, do you like base them off like people from like movies or games, or do you like base them off people you actually know in real life? There's
been occasions where they're based on real people. So like Sully the Clown's a real person.
Yeah.
Someone I did a competition and someone won like a starring death roll in the Cotton Candy Massacre.
Yeah.
So they were not so much based on their personality, but their appearance and everything they were putting. Cause it was a small part. It was just you're going in to get killed type thing.
Okay.
I have a weird thing where like I wrote the character of Casey in Virgin Night, and then I met a real Casey who's so similar to the character, like that we're actually together now. Like it was like she keeps joking that I just invented myself a girlfriend.
Pretty wild to actually write out a character and then meet someone just like it.
Yeah, there's certain differences. If you read the book, there's certain things about her that can't possibly be the same. But but then I've done really dumb things, like the character of Candy in the Cotton Candy Massacre is named after my fridge. Like we have a brand of fridge in the UK called Candy. I don't know if you guys are over there, but like I was single at the time, and I just shared like an Instagram thing of like, "This is Candy. She's my new girlfriend. Isn't she cool?" And then it's like,
I need to name my fridge.
I wish
that's a character in my book.
I don't think we have Candy brand fridges out here. I have no idea what brand mine is. But to kind of help transition it into a movie, if all your books became movies and was entered into like a film festival, which one do you think would win like best film?
I think I'd have audience like walkouts from Cotton Candy. I think like I would probably get like a bunch of 1-star movie reviews from critics for like the crude humor in Virgin Night.
But you would get high scores on the audience score. You would have a devoted following.
Yeah. You'd have cult followings for each film.
You'll have people showing up to the premieres in clown makeup and whatnot.
I think maybe Zombie Sweetheart's actually got the one that's got the most. See, all my books are fun on the surface, but there's dark horror in there, but there's dark societal stuff in there as well. Like Zombie Sweetheart is 1950s set story that doesn't completely shy away from the like racial realities of what it was like for black people in the 1950s. The main character, one of the two main characters in that is black, and the book deals with like things like miscegenation laws and like what it was like just as schools were mixing and things like that, and like societal pressure. But it does it in a light way so that it's not the focus of the book, but it's constantly underlying there. And there's several times where I have a character about to say something extremely abhorrent, but I don't go all the way saying it because I'm still trying to maintain that 1950s wholesome veneer.
But you just get hinted at, basically.
But it's showing that off screen this is what was going on. And like in Virgin Night, for all the teenage hijinks, slapstick nonsense, Caleb goes through some horrific acts of homophobia in that book.
Yeah.
Like he's viciously attacked for being gay multiple times, including by his own father. Yeah. But then it's a complex relationship with his father as well, because his father doesn't hate him, but he doesn't like this about him either.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to write that nuance and not just completely go into making a character completely evil, but still make them a bad guy kind of thing.
Yeah, have a
flawed
character.
A flawed human being.
And Cotton Candy deals with several really dark issues, like characters who have been self-harming, who have eating disorders, and identity, like things about themselves they're not comfortable with, identity issues. And these are a lot of issues and things that I've either had some experience of myself or people very close to me have. And they've snuck in, but they're very much under the layer of fun. I had a reader one point, or a friend who was reading an early version of Cotton Candy, was like, "How dare you? I was laughing at the cartoonish ultra violence, and you go ahead and hit me with this."
Yeah, that
caught me off guard.
Yeah, go from fun to something completely serious. You're like, oh.
Before we move into the movie, do you have any projects currently that you're working on at the moment, or are you just in between projects?
So the next thing people should be seeing from me is I have a novel coming from Darklit Press, who are the publisher of The Sacrament, where my sort of noirish short story, A Brother's Love, was featured.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is part of their upcoming pirate horror series, and my book's called Black Flags and Devil Birds.
Black Flags and Devil Birds?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's essentially what if the comedic pirates of Pirates of the Caribbean washed up in Jurassic Park.
Oh, God. Yeah, so, I'm sold. I'm sold. Take my money now.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of pirates and Navy officers. Starts off with a big battle between them. Starts off with a bang. And they end up on a strange island inhabited by dinosaurs and other inhabitants that aren't exactly friendly. And they end up on it's a sort of sprawling, almost not quite. It's not any longer like word count wise than Cotton Candy Massacre or Virgin Night, but it feels it because there's a lot more characters and there's a lot more routes through the book, and they're all flowing their different ways to come together at crossroad points. But it's big, fun, takes itself seriously, but also kind of silly.
I like the idea of Jurassic Park, but taking place in different time periods.
Yeah.
And then I'm currently working on the third book in the October Society series for this Halloween. So I'm about a third of the way through the first draft of that.
And is that your aim to be done by Halloween?
Yeah, it should be.
And do you have a release date for the Blackbeard?
Black Flags and Devil Birds should be May, but there's no date set yet.
Okay.
I also should have something in August that I've not announced yet.
All right.
But it's going to be fun. If the people who've read books will know what that means.
We'll just put to be announced for right now.
Yeah. Be on the lookout for it.
Be on the lookout for something.
Most people will guess what it is. There's of all the books I've written, one book stands alone as what I'm associated with and has been quite successful for me. So it was inevitable.
That's the only hint you're getting, everybody. Cotton Candy Massacre, like I said, will be in the upcoming giveaway that we're organizing. And other than Amazon, where can these people out there find you?
It's mostly Amazon. I think some of my books are available for Barnes & Noble. I'm on Audible. Cotton Candy Massacre is on Audible. And if you guys want, I'll throw in an Audible code for Cotton Candy.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, most of my stuff's on Amazon. See, most accessible. There are books available through Barnes and Noble. Cotton Candy Massacre is on Godless as an ebook form, and currently Audible has the Cotton Candy Massacre with My Zombie Sweetheart currently in production.
Nice.
Excellent. So you heard it here, everybody. So definitely on Amazon and on the giveaway. So be on the lookout for that. So Dave, when you talked to Christopher here about the movie review, you told him that we were doing intentionally bad movies, correct?
Yeah, we talked about it. One of his first choices you would have loved was Tremors.
You think Tremors is a bad movie?
No, before I told him, it was one of the movies he wanted.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was going to be his original thing. I was like, oh man, we were getting along so well.
I think we all love Tremors here.
Yeah, I was going with Tremors because one of the narrators for my books had said that he views my books kind of like Tremors in that it's B-movie material but taken seriously.
That's a great way to put it. That's a very good way to put it.
Or the way my girlfriend says it, daft ideas with daft ideas told in clever ways.
Well, I'm going to have to see if we can get him back for next season when we do movies that we could watch over and over again, because Tremors was definitely going to be on my list.
Yeah, review Tremors.
But no, I'll just say this is the opposite of Tremors. This is Popcorn from 1991. Two things happened in 1991. I was born and Popcorn came out. So,
well, three things. I was also born. So,
and Dave was shortly right after me.
Yeah.
You kind of hinted at it a little early on, but why Popcorn?
Popcorn is one of the earliest examples I can think of meta horror, meta slashers. And I love meta horror. Like, my books are all meta horror, like self-referential, aware that horror movies exist, aware that other horror movies exist. Characters are sometimes aware that they're in a horror movie, or will at least suspect, will behave as though they are. Like, don't you watch scary movies? I've got a line in an upcoming book where a character's like, nope, I ain't going in there. I've seen the Jason Voorhees movies. You're all on your own.
Smart.
You know, I just thought of the perfect way to describe this, Dave.
Yeah.
This movie is like Scream if it was directed by William Malone.
Yeah.
If it was directed by the guy who did Fear.com, instead of Wes Craven, he did Scream, because you have to have the movie references and all that business. But in short, for those of you who don't know, who haven't had the privilege of watching Popcorn, it'll sound a lot like a movie that me and Dave just got finished reviewing last night, Urban Legends. The one sentence sum up is a killer is killing off a bunch of student film group.
Yeah, at a film festival.
But anyway, as you were saying, why this one, and why is it ranking on your... What makes this one kind of stand out in the whole bad movie universe?
It's so you guys familiar with Joe Dante's Matinee?
Wait, the name is familiar.
That's a really good movie. That's like a sincere and sort of heartfelt coming of age take on this type of, like, on some of the stuff this movie does. Mm-hmm. But essentially this is like a stab happy take on that kind of movies. It's like an 80s and 90s slasher, but with almost 1950s kitsch sensibilities.
Yeah.
Like, you've got a grandiose villain who monologues, who, like, would totally be someone like Vincent Price or Peter Lorre if it was made in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like, playing him. It's kind of like the structure of the film, like, is most of it takes place during this, like, horror film festival where they're screening 3 fake 1950s era B movies, 1950s, 60s era B movies, complete with the gimmicks that, like, William Castle used to do. So you've got, like, a fake movie called Mosquito, where a giant mosquito will fly across the top of the audience.
That whole setting is totally my style. I would have loved to go to something like that.
I would go to something like that.
I would spend a day at the old movie theater, getting shown old B horror black and white movies. I love that.
Yeah,
I have such a fondness for them. For them, THEM, capital letters.
Yeah.
Oh, ha ha ha.
But yeah, like, I don't know, it's one I vaguely remember seeing when I was younger and didn't really see it properly again until it came out as part of 88 Film Slasher Classics collection.
Hmm.
And I was always instantly drawn to the idea it was like a horror movie that takes place in a theater and it involves other horror movies. And
I mean, that's a movie nerd's like wet dream, as they say, right there. That's a great, in a horror movie. Come on, that's a lot of fun.
yeah, and even the main character in it, she's like that. She's like, "Oh my god, this is starting to turn a horror movie, isn't it awesome?" Like,
Yeah.
she's like, at first she's weirdly delighted
Yeah.
that she thinks murders are going on. It is a very inconsistent film because like it almost feels like there's several different movies worth of plot going on at once, and then they just picked one at the end.
Now, Dave, you hadn't seen this before.
Not until last night.
So I had seen this months ago when I first got Shudder, and I started doing little mini reviews, and it was just all brought back to me, all the mixed emotions that I was feeling. But what did you first initial thoughts on what you thought of it?
Like the characters are not good characters, and the storyline isn't all that great. But it was a fun movie.
It's a fun movie if you want to make fun, because we were thinking of doing this is something we haven't really asked any of our guests yet, but we were going to do a panel for the finale to go over what makes a bad movie, a bad horror movie. Do y'all want to try to deconstruct this the way that we would do that?
Yes. What makes this movie bad?
Because I think that the reason why it's a generic script. Just they're in a horror. They're screening horror movies, and a killer's basically on the loose, killing people within the audience and the other people. I mean, it's a slasher movie. They're just people getting offed. But what didn't they do right?
Well, in this movie, some of the line delivery is so like weird and funky. It just kind of sounds like they were almost like they read the script in the room and just kind of implanted it over the film.
No second takes. Just one take and let's move on.
Yeah, and then like we'll fix this line later and have them redo the line.
Not that you're really necessarily missing anything, because the dialogue's not necessarily anything to write home about anyway.
Yeah.
It's a slasher with a bunch of annoying characters, running around. You're not missing any award-winning dialogue. When Christopher said that he was a movie nerd, it made me understand why he chose this one, because this could have worked well for movie nerds if it was done right, with all of the random movie jargon that they drop. Same thing with urban legend, like mise en scene or it was movie talk, but in the way that nobody movie talks. Sorry, I just rambled for like what felt like 3 minutes trying to get that point out. I was trying to find the exact note that I wrote that I could not find. So I just my lips moved and words came out for the last like minute. So, but Christopher, so where do you think they dropped the ball in this one?
I would say there's almost like too many plot lines or things they're trying to do without a deep enough commitment to any one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it results in a muddle. So we start off with like almost a Suspiria wannabe-esque visuals with the Possessor film, and is this to do with this creepy film director that burnt down the theater, murdered his family and stuff? And then as the kills progress, there's like a mixture between kills that are themed to the B movies on screen, which I enjoyed, and then there's ones that just happen because we got to keep the body count rolling.
Yeah,
I think for me a better way to be the William Castle homage that they wanted to do was to like triple down on the B movie stuff, have all the kills tied to the B movies, and and really bring the audience in the theater in on the kills, like they think it's all part of the show, more so than the film does. Like it eventually does do that.
Well, kind of like with the mosquito, like using that mosquito who impaled that guy. Part of the thing, and I get he could have paraded his body around, and people just would have thought it was a decoration.
Yeah, like he could have had all the dead cast, like dead like victims out in that theater, and people would think they were props.
And then yeah. And then you get to have good reaction shots at the end when people realize, no, there's dead bodies around here.
Yeah, and then you could have worked in a bit of commentary on like not necessarily commentary I'd agree with, but commentary about like horror consumers. Like because we watch some abhorrent stuff and then we go to sleep like babies afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
you could definitely make some kind of statement.
And plus, the characters in this movie, not only are they like, they don't stand out at all. It's hard to remember the characters in this movie. Plus, they're like the stereotypical horror cast, but some of them just seem out of place. Like, you got one character's like a stereotypical girl you'd see in an 80s slasher film, like the one who gets around, and then like one of the guys talks like he's a stereotypical like,
bad boy jock or
douchebag for like the 60s and 50s horror film. The main character seems like she's like
Lydia Dietz.
Yeah.
From Beetlejuice.
So it's like these characters aren't really meshing well together because they're all like seem like out of time and out of place.
I kind of wonder what it was like with the original actress. It's like they shot for like 3 weeks with someone else before she was brought in.
Really?
Oh, the main actress?
Yeah, it was a different actress, and a lot of the scenes like weren't really changed. Like they filmed because they kept scenes that had already been filmed, from what I understand, and they filmed like cut-ins for her. But there's other scenes where like other people are acting, and she's in that character's in the scene, but that actress isn't.
So that's why it seems so disjointed sometimes.
Yeah, she's just in the back listening to her tape recorder.
They brought like a different director came in as well after they'd started too. So it was one of those like troubled productions.
One of those like cursed film productions where everything was going wrong.
Yeah, I know. It was the Tom Villiard, like the antagonist, was like secretly battling AIDS at the time, so he's had a lot going on while he's working on. He passed away not long after that film, and he's easily the best thing about the film. Like, he's got this scene chewing like
was that Toby
like energy. Yeah.
It's weird though because I think I said in my initial review that because it takes place in a movie theater. And they had made these fake 1950s like B movie kind of thing. I actually wouldn't have mind
watching the mosquito or
the mosquito. Yeah,
like, well, they're the best. They're They're for me the best characters in the film because so much love was put into those.
Yeah, they put a lot of like, that is where your like film appreciation, movie nerd thing shine the most.
There was like talk on some of the actors were saying that the director was so preoccupied making those. That he just wasn't paying attention to the main production.
That's what it felt like because it was very cheesy in the best possible way. You could have made a full cheesy black and white monster horror movie complete with all the cheesy gimmicks. I bet it would sell really well right now. I bet people would love that.
Joe Dante's Matinee, like it's a similar film. It's not a horror film, but it's similar in the concept of it's like a William Castle-esque figure. And that film features primarily one fake B movie called Mant, but a man turned into a mantis. They had they were kind enough to on the special features for the Blu-ray, Arrow Films Blu-ray, to include the Mant film pieced together from all the scenes shown for it.
That's amazing. That's great.
Awesome.
So so it's not like feature length, but you could watch the Mant film.
You could watch it, know what happens.
Yeah,
I kind of wish they would do that. The 88 Films had done something similar to this, like extracted or found the originals for those 3 B movies and included them.
The mosquito, the amazing electrifying man, and
the stench.
The stench.
Yeah.
Complete with awful dubbing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But the one bit that always sticks with me every time I watch it that I love is like it's when they're watching The Incredible Electric Man or Shock Man, the second one, and she goes to like kiss. Is it that one? Or is it that
where
one
she goes to kiss them?
No, it's Mosquito where she goes to kiss him. She goes, "Kiss me, dick." You just hear one guy in the audience go, "What?"
No. The background commentary from the audience.
Yeah, it's like a mystery science theater type vibe to it.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
As wild as they ended up being, they were still way more well behaved than I thought that they were going to be for a thing of like college students going to see like unsupervised at a abandoned movie theater.
Especially when the power went out.
Yeah. Surprisingly, even though a guy got knocked out, like in the audience, people were pretty well behaved more than I thought. I thought you would have had just a whole packed full of drunks, like acting a fool.
Yeah, the guy getting knocked out is not that shocking. I mean, I'm from Glasgow, so that's a regular occurrence. But
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
you like the music though, don't you, Dave?
Yeah, the music I thought was kind of catchy at times.
I think that's
Yeah.
that's what makes a bad movie is when you see sprinkles of stuff that's actually okay.
Yeah.
But if you only have sprinkles of it, it makes the bad stuff stand out even more.
yeah. I think the music was. It might have been like part of the conditions for filming.
Hmm.
Because it was like filmed in Kingston, Jamaica, and I've got to imagine that like there was some sort of agreement where like, okay, you can film here, and we won't make you pay taxes or whatever, but like feature some like local artists or whatever. So that's why there's like reggae music in the film because these are like local artists, and it's also why I watched like an interview with some of the cast and crew. Huge swaths of the audience are all wearing masks the whole time.
Hmm.
Because this film's supposed to be set in like small Midwestern US town, but all the extras were Jamaican.
You know,
So they were like, nobody's going to believe this is like small Midwestern town.
Yeah.
So that's why people were wearing masks a lot.
that actually
Well, it's not Midwestern, it's West Coast, because I think the college is University of California, Oceanside or something like that. Yeah, that she went to.
that actually
It's
makes
bad
me
then.
makes me
Yeah.
feel a lot better because I just wanted a reason. I like reggae and ska music, but I just felt so out of place. I just wanted a reason why.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything official, but whether it was like a requirement or like a deal they made, or it was maybe just that those were the local musicians that they could afford.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They were like, okay, I find a local band, so it's like a local reggae band. That was it. It's weird, like you see movies like that, and what is it? Slaughter High
Hmm.
is made in Britain. It's very clearly a British high school, or like a British school,
Yeah.
gets pretending to be an American slasher movie. You know, no, this looks like every school I've ever been in.
What about the big bad guy?
I'm a
The
fan.
movie.
I'll say I'm a fan. And as improbable as his face swapping technique was, because goddamn, that would revolutionize Hollywood productions if they could get makeup effects done in a matter of seconds like that.
It's like
Yeah.
Dark Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a Machiavellian Darkman with like paper thin. Well, these slasher movies don't really need much more motivation other than somebody killed me / harmed me / hurt someone.
I mean, that's
Posting.
Yeah.
again, urban legends. That is exactly the reason why the killer was doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
Your family wronged my family,
So
so
I'm taking it out on you.
on you. So yes, I mean, yeah. When it comes down to reasoning, if it's a slasher movie, you can forgive like all right, well, you just want some kind of reason.
Yeah. But what do you guys think of the Possessor or
The Possessor.
Possessor?
I think the film could have done without that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really a fan of like trippy type of horror.
Sometimes it's hard to kind of get into.
So that's just not my style. Like what I would like. So that I think I've kind of found it a little off-putting, and it felt because it feels at the start of the film it's going down like a cursed film route,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a cursed object that happens to be a film type thing.
Which
And then
would be
it's-
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Probably should have stayed down that route. Made it like a curse film.
That's what you mean when you said like things are just clashing. Like one of the things that ruins a movie the most is when you're juggling too many plates, and you should just stick to one thing.
It's at the tail end of the 80s though, and like start of the 90s, so it's kind of like the slasher boom is fading out,
Mhm.
and it's
Yeah.
at that point where like movies started to get weird and try all sorts of new ways to revitalize the genre.
It was in the 2000s. Like we've said that before. Like where it was just a weird. It was a weird moment for a weird time for slashers.
Yeah. Like when Popcorn came out in 1990, was that like weird pocket of slashers where not a lot of good ones were coming out anymore.
Yeah. Oh, sorry,
Like-
I think I said 2000. I meant 90.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, like the Nightmare on Elm Streets were not doing well. And
How
then
many
you had-
times has Wes Craven saved the slasher genre though? Like how many times has he come back and been like, "Oh, here we go again"?
Yeah.
The studio, I believe, it was called the house that Freddy built. I mean,
Yeah, saved
You
it
know-
in the 80s, and then he had to come back in 96 and save it
Yeah.
with Scream.
Because he flirted with meta horror with A New Nightmare.
Yeah.
You could see that was sort of the way that horror, especially slasher horror, had to get smarter.
hmm
Yeah.
And you could even say as far back as Elm Street, he was introducing a smarter slasher than what had gone before.
Dipping his toes in the water, see what worked.
He's like adding like slashers and killers that are savvy, intelligent, witty, fun, like their characters and with personas. And like New Nightmare was like further experiment with the idea of meta horror, and wasn't like ultimately till the like pairing with Williamson and Scream that like they just nailed what meta horror and what should go horror, and then everyone just copied that for a while, diluting that like thing till like horror found a new. I'd argue maybe Saw was the next mutation of the genre.
That's you started seeing a lot more torture porny, as they would say.
After that, horror started veering more into paranormal. In the late 2000s.
A lot of those Insidious and
Conjuring,
Paranormal Activity type movies. Yeah,
this one
I would like to see redone.
Yeah, I would love a popcorn remake. I'd be about it.
It's inoffensive, but it was more disappointing than anything because the things that I liked, I did like in terms of the setting.
Yeah.
You just need to change a lot of everything else, though.
Setup good, execution poor.
Kills. What do we think about the kills?
For me, the kills that stuck out and were fun and memorable were the two that were specifically tied to the B-movie gimmicks.
Yeah.
So the mosquito, death by remote controlled giant mosquito.
Yeah.
And the dude in the wheelchair who very, very quickly just assumes he's getting some kinky fun.
Yeah, just
someone like,
why are you so lucky?
Right.
Like as soon as you get handcuffed to his chair and everything like that, he just assumes that despite all evidence to the contrary and all the times he's been trying to get some from this character, he's not been getting any. He just assumes that now it's happening and not that he's in a lot of trouble.
Nobody, like, as anybody would have gone, what kind of trap is this?
Yeah, and like, because it's quite a dragged out like death for him as well. He can see it coming, and like the audience are getting like buzzed, and you know it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but then it just does kind of cheap out with just a wheelchair sliding away.
But there's something about horror movies at this time when you see someone in a wheelchair, you know that's going to be something ridiculous.
They can't run away. So, I mean, Friday 13th comes to mind.
Yeah.
Not the Friday the 13th game, though. The recent one, when they added single player content into that, and they did various like challenge maps that replicated scenes from the movies, and they attempted to do the wheelchair scene.
Couldn't do it.
Because the bots were like they didn't really code the wheelchair incorrectly. The character in the wheelchair just moves as if he's moving at full sprinting speed. So it takes off like a rocket. You can't catch him. Like that game really makes me wonder how the hell Jason catches anyone. Because without his like ability to teleport around that map, like no way.
He's slow as hell.
Is that multiplayer game where you can play as either Jason or one of the
the counselors?
See, I was gonna get that, but I ended up getting Dead by Daylight instead.
Yeah,
I went the other way. I played Dead by Daylight to the point where like I was getting in trouble because I was always getting merciless victories, and like people were flagging me as cheating even though I wasn't. And like I got like a warning on my Xbox account, and like, well, I need something else to play, so I went and got Friday the 13th and did the same thing.
I need to try like both of those games. I've seen people play it.
Yeah.
You'd be hard pressed to get a Friday the 13th match that's mostly multiplayer dead, but you can play that offline, which is an advantage over Dead by Daylight, where you need to play with other people, and it's
you have to play online. Gaming community can be toxic at times.
Yeah, you definitely. I'd mute everything. Dave, did you say your thoughts on the kills, Dave?
Like I said, you had your fun kills that relate to the movie, and then just your regular kills, but also. The kills kind of led to my favorite line in the movie, where the killer's just kind of using Tina's body to talk to him. And the one guy's like, Tina needs to eat something. She looks like shit. I said that's probably my favorite line of dialogue in the entire movie.
But go ahead, Dave. Before we like get towards like scoring and everything, any other thoughts or anything you wanted to like kind of bring up to talk about?
No, it's just... I mean, really, it's just a slasher movie from the 90s. Seemed like they were trying to take a lot of risk and just not a lot paid off for them.
Yeah. Again, it's a one that had as a good premise, but I wish it was in more it was in better hands. What's your you want to give like a kind of like a final thought on it there, Chris?
Yeah, it sort of has this like it has the genre awareness of like more successful meta horror like Scream, but like
Mm-hmm.
fundamentally the characters don't. So it feels like it's halfway or like a or not entirely the full formula for
Mm-hmm.
successful meta horror.
It's like you get what they wanted to do, but they didn't do it correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of floundering in its ideas.
Yeah.
But credit for like a slasher movie, they were trying to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Credit where
also,
it's due, yeah.
yeah, if they announce a remake for this movie, I'd probably be excited for it.
Yeah, I'd watch it if they tried to give it a redo because it has a cult following. I would say that this is cult following status because I when I watched it the first time, people have fond memories of it. So there's something there.
Yeah.
I said if I were to sum it up, it's like a late '80s, early '90s slasher with '50s heart. The killer and the gimmick and the reveal is pure drive-in era schlock, and I would like it if it leaned in more to that.
Yeah.
I would worry that a remake wouldn't. I would worry that a remake would swap out the '50s B movies for '80s slashers or something.
Mm-hmm. I could see,
Yeah.
And they wouldn't, because the '50s B movie retro stuff. I don't know as many people that love that stuff as much as I do.
Well, me personally, I love it. There's a planetarium that once a month they'll have screenings of bad like B movies like The Giant Claw or Them or stuff
that's
like
a great movie.
Yeah.
That's the one with the really weird bird, isn't it?
Yes, it became one of my favorite movies ever because of how bad it looked. But I love old horror movies, black and white like that.
Yeah.
So
I enjoy those, but like you guys love those movies. It's kind of how I love the '80s slasher movies.
mm-hmm.
Well, I do a secondary Instagram account with my partner Casey, Tasty Trash, where literally we just watch the worst kind of movies we can find and talk about how much we enjoyed them in like silly ways. So some of the things that like we watched. What's the recent one? We watched Tammy and the T-Rex for Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Erotic Ghost Story, like the category 3 Hong Kong movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're upcoming stuff we've got is some shot on video movies like Suburban Sasquatch and the Necrophiles.
Okay.
Like, oh yeah, these are the epitome of like so bad. Necrophiles alone, like if you just like Google that and have a look.
Let me give it a little Google real quick. The Necrophiles, you say?
Yeah, it's from the '90s, early '90s.
1997. Says it's an hour, 12 minutes horror comedy. A cannibal rapist rises from the grave as a flesh-eating zombie sex maniac. Sold.
Yes.
Sold. I'll watch it tonight.
With a massive zombie boner that acts like a magnet for any woman within like half a mile radius. Like he just follows it like it's the compass in Pirates of the Caribbean.
It to lead you to whatever. Okay, so it says it's on. Oh, watch it now for free on Tubi. Consider it on my list of things to watch tonight.
That's not even bringing in the floating dead baby.
Yeah, I just saw that on Google Images.
Oh, well, don't give away any spoilers now.
Oh, yeah.
So the most fun about that movie is I bought that and Suburban Sasquatch part of Visual Vengeance. We're like re-releasing these movies in films like Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell.
I just saw that the other month. It was basically a Japanese Evil Dead.
Yeah, so they've been releasing these movies in really gorgeous artwork, like box sets with posters and stuff like that. Kind of doing like what Arrow Film used to do with like really obscure movies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the fun one with the Necrophiles is it comes with like a poster for it and also a condom.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at the cover art right now.
Yeah.
It
does say on it not for actual use.
Yeah.
Oh well, darn. What's the point? Well, yeah.
So these are shot on VHS, like shot on VHS movies, and you've got to wonder how they like. Just if you watch Necrophiles, the amount of nudity in it. Like, how did you talk that many people into doing that? Like, honestly,
I feel
involved in this. How was this?
I felt that way when we watched Hanukkah because didn't I say in Hanukkah that this has more nudity than X?
Yeah.
It's like how'd you, and not just regular duty, like crawling around, getting dirty in the dirt, like nudity. It's like how'd you talk people into, like with this budget? How'd you talk people into doing this? But that's on Tubi. You hear that, Shudder? We're flirting around with some other possible options. We're watching this on Tubi tonight.
Yeah.
You had your chance, Shudder. Maybe
Sponsor us or else.
maybe if you we're gonna take it's gonna take a lot of wooing to get us back to Tatty Shudder.
Yeah.
But scores, I guess we usually just score on a 30-point scale here. It goes 0 to 10 is a bad movie, 11 to 20 is an okay movie, and 21 to 30 is a great movie. So, Dave, you want to go ahead? What's your score there?
I'd probably agree with your Shutter Shout score of an 8 out of 30.
8 out of 30?
Just a fun, bad movie.
Just a fun, bad movie?
Yeah.
What about you there, Christopher? Your final score here, what would you give it on a 30-point scale there?
God, I'm not a fan of scores.
Okay, well, good or bad movie then?
That's a difficult one for me because I like a bad movie.
I enjoy
a bad movie. I enjoy a bad movie more than a good movie.
Is this does this rank as a so bad it's good kind of rating?
It could stand to be worse, so that it could be better. Like I said,
I get that.
for the same reason that there's kernels of really good stuff in there. That there's like, if it went a little bit the other way, it could be truly tragic. I think it's like just on the cusp of that bad, but moving into the good line.
So just a little bit of tweaks, it has potential, I guess.
Yeah. Go either way.
Yeah.
A little bit better focus, it could have went either way.
Okay, so we'll say this was like middle of the road, but has the possibility to be really great. But I'm glad that Dave got to see it at least, because it was going to be one of my picks. So at least I got to have Dave exposed to it. So if I reference it in the future, he'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But that's getting close to the end for us over here at Body Bag. Thanks again for taking some time and nerding out with movies and book talk.
No, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, as always with our guests, it's an open invitation. If you ever feel like, if you have nothing better to do, and you're just like, yeah, sure, I'll hop on and it's an open invitation if you ever want to come back.
Well, if you guys ever want to do a season or a special on the 1950s B movies, I'm definitely there.
Dave, you hear that, Dave?
Yeah. We might have to do that, yeah.
I'm going to have to drag Dave into it because, well, he already said, like, older movies like that are not necessarily his bag.
I enjoy some of them.
But they're not all like Nosferatu.
Yeah.
That
was not for me.
As much as we try to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, well, we're going to put that in the works, and we'll know exactly who to call. We'll get you on there. We'll watch them.
Yeah.
The Blob, Invasion of the Body. They're the good ones. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Or you could just get like, what was that one? It's one of the first movies to ever use squibs, and I can't remember the name of it now.
It's one of like millions of like titles from that era, like the giant thing from outer space, or
it's something to do with like taking trying to create zombies. So they take like a gangster's brain and put it in this robot body and stuff. It's pure mad science. Yeah. That's like one of the first uses of squibs to simulate bullet wounds.
I think I know which one you're talking about, actually. All right. So I'm gonna have to. Did you say you had? Was there a title for that one?
I can't remember what it is.
I have to figure. It's gonna bug me. but I guess I'm just gonna have to leave. That's how I'm gonna intro our next episode. It was that movie.
Yeah. Finally figured it out.
But in the meantime, thanks again for coming back or coming on the show. We hope to have you back.
Thank you for coming.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for having me and the kind words.
And I've been Chris Thomas, with me, Broke Rider Dave, and thanks again to our special guest, Christopher Robertson.
Have a good week, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Body Bag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at BodyBagPod and on Instagram at BodyBagPodcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.